Unmute yourself, Heidi. There you go.
I pledge allegiance
Allegiance
to the
to the flag
of the United
United
States of America,
States of America,
to the
to the
republic
to the republic for which it stands,
one
one
nation,
nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible, with
liberty and justice for all.
And be seated.
Roll call. Archer,
Here.
Bartels,
Here.
Bruno,
Here.
Cahill,
Here.
Corcoran,
Here.
Criswell,
Here.
DeLon,
Here.
Donaldson,
Here.
Fabiano,
Here.
Gavaris,
Present.
Green,
Present.
Haynes,
Here.
Hepner,
Here.
Litz,
Here.
Lopez,
Here.
Mayo,
Here.
Parody,
Here.
Petit,
Here.
Roberts,
Here.
Ronk,
Present.
Uchatel,
Here.
Walter,
Here.
and Waro.
Here.
23 present and 0 absent.
Alrighty, and we have a few birthdays tonight. No, at least this month anyway. We have Brianne Fries, our legislative aide. We also have our math expert and budget analyst, Amber Feaster, August 10th, her birthday. And then legislator Peter Criswell, 39 today. And Mary Warrow, also 39. Very good.
Happy birthday, Mary.
Happy birthday, Mary. Happy birthday, Peter. Entertain a motion to dispense with the reading of the minutes of the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We have various communications on file. Take your time, read through them. Now we're ready for public comment. Do we have anyone signed up?
We do. We currently have 4 speakers signed up. The first speaker signed up is Tamara Murray. Tamara, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Thank you. Thank you so much for allowing me the time to speak. So my name is Tamara Murray. I'm the Marketing and Sales Director for the Emerson Resort and Spa, and I'm also the co-chair of the Ulster County Lodging Coalition. The Lodging Coalition has fiercely fought against entering into a voluntary collection agreement with Airbnb for approximately 8 years. I want to be very clear. Our stand has nothing to do with the threat of competition. The short-term rental market has been here for quite a while, and there's room for all tourism businesses. We also understand the short-term rental market isn't going anywhere in the future. Rather, what we have petitioned the county and New York State for is a level playing field that requires and enforces the collection of occupancy tax and requires a minimum standard for short-term rental operators to provide health and safety protocols. We support the current system in Ulster County of using Bear Cloud systems to identify short-term rental operators across all platforms, not just Airbnb alone, and contacting the operators to register for the payment of occupancy tax, which has been described as a model for the state by Mark Dorr, who's the president of the New York State Hospitality and Tourism Association. We believe the next step in rounding out this system that we already have in place and ensuring the collection of correct and actual occupancy tax from the host as well as regulating short-term rentals in Ulster County, is simply enforcement. Lodging properties are required to register with the county and prove the number of room rentals that they have in each period, guaranteeing the county receives the correct amount of occupancy tax. Airbnb seems to promise that as long as you sign an agreement with them, they will be transparent and provide the county with host names and give you a check. However, there are numerous legal issues in other New York State counties, as well as other states that charge Airbnb with not requiring hosts to meet zoning, health, and safety regulations, prohibiting the collection of back taxes, creating obstacles and stalling techniques where the particular county does not receive the actual tax due, and prohibiting local agencies from identifying and regulating operators that list on their site. With a system of enforcement in place, Ulster County could avoid the majority of short-term rental owners failing to register, collect the correct tax, and work with the towns to establish and require health and safety protocols. I understand the county is facing historical shortfalls due to the COVID pandemic. However, now is the time when it is more important than ever to make careful decisions. A revenue stream issue as important as this should not be signed over to a third party with a history of lawsuits, closed-door deals, refusal to allow true audits, and refusal to disclose host information. Thank you.
The next speaker we have signed up is Mike Baden from the town of Rochester. Can you hear us, Supervisor Baden?
I can. Thank you very much. So, good evening, legislators. I am here tonight representing the Ulster County Association of Town Supervisors and Mayors. Chair Harris was unable to speak tonight and has asked me to convey our message. We are in opposition to Resolution 285. Our reasons are that we think this duplicates services that have already been put in place. We think it could be disruptive to ongoing negotiations, and we think it could potentially inhibit local oversight. I would like to echo my own concerns, many of which the previous speaker just stated to you, so I won't say them all, but I do have concerns of accountability. I think in negotiating these contracts with these host agencies, the audit power, the ability to audit, to make sure the data is accurate, that the collection is accurate, will potentially go away. And I think the county is much better off dealing directly with the hosts themselves as opposed to the hosting agency. So for those reasons, I'd ask you to reconsider Resolution 285 this evening. And it has great potential, but I think it needs a little bit of further work before adoption. Thank you very much.
The next speaker we have signed up is Ellen DeFalco.
Yes, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you for the opportunity this evening to address this legislative body regarding Resolution 274. I am opposed to the sale and or transfer of the former Ulster County Jail and the lands owned by Ulster County located at Golden Hill to a local development corporation for affordable mixed income housing development for the following reasons. First, it is disingenuous to move on this property transfer now during the pandemic when residents and stakeholders are not able to attend meetings, to have open dialogues in person. It is difficult for many of us to participate in virtual meetings. I believe that there are other surplus properties in the county that fit the criteria for affordable, mixed income, workforce, or low income housing. One of the first undertakings of the newly formed Housing Advisory Committee should be to inventory surplus county-owned properties which would be suitable for affordable housing outside the city of Kingston. Your resolution number 179 of May 19th indicated that an inventory of such properties would be forthcoming. When the city of Kingston is already saturated with subsidized housing, while we have only 13% of the county's population, it doesn't seem fair that this parcel should be the first site chosen for housing development. The 5 developers have not been revealed so that our nearby residents and stakeholders can weigh in on the development of this property. We're still in the dark. A local housing development corporation who will choose the developer with the best plan for the property has not been chosen yet. The sale of this property would generate much needed revenue to help balance your budget, but it becomes very obvious that a plan is already in place to hurry the project along to meet certain timelines that have already been established to complete this project. I will, on a final note, continue to advocate that the former Ulster County Jail property is not the best fit for affordable housing and not suitable as a solution to meet the housing shortfall when there are other sites outside the city of Kingston that should be considered. Thank you and have a great evening.
Next speaker.
The last speaker signed up for tonight is Justin Orashan. Can you hear us, Justin?
I can. Thank you very much. Hi, good council folks. Thanks for allowing me to talk. I'm glad to be here with you tonight. I'm also expressing comment on Resolution 74 with regards to Golden Hill property, and I am expressing support for moving forward with utilizing that for affordable housing and putting it over to surplus county land. I speak on this with the acute realization that currently we're the 6th most unaffordable county in New York State, according to the Housing Affordability Report 19. Some of you might have seen the most recent articles that 17.5% increase in housing sales price since this time in 2019, and we're within the top 10 cities of folks moving, top 10 cities in the country of folks moving to a city. And, with this exodus of folks from New York City, the folks who cannot afford housing and who are housing insecure right now are only being more impacted. And it's an urgent matter that requires a level of urgent response. Unfortunately, we haven't done enough to prepare for this. And we are in a place now where the folks who already couldn't afford housing here are in even more dire circumstances. I list off those statistics and figures from a broader perspective, but I want to get down to a human level. Over the past month, the 2 months, I have been working with some local folks who are homeless and housing insecure through the Kingston Mutual Aid Project. I don't say this as some sort of savior complex, but I say it from a place of I hadn't done that before. And it's only now that I realized at a very personalized level just how dire the circumstances are. To the previous caller's point and what I've heard others argue, that our Ulster County is saturated with subsidized housing. I think that those folks that are urgently seeking housing and many of whom, most of whom can't find it right now, would disagree. And the reality is with being Ulster, with Kingston being the at the center of the county and with it being where most of our county services are located, to ask people to go out beyond Kingston is very challenging. It's absolutely imperative that folks be connected closely to the resources that support them most and trying to find locations beyond the city of Kingston. While that might be a great endeavor in addition to, this location here in Kingston. We need it here in Kingston. We needed it years ago. We needed it built today. But the reality is this is one among other options that we can take to help the folks that are really in dire circumstances, because the landscape, the ground is shifting beneath us, and we really need to, for any of you or any of us who are housing secure, who own housing, we really need to take it upon ourselves to ask ourselves, are we willing to stretch ourselves to help those most in need who right now are calling out for it? So that is all I have to say. Thank you all. Again, I would urge you to support the resolution to move forward with declaring Golden Hill surplus county land and utilizing it for affordable housing. Thank you.
We had two more speakers come online with us. The next speaker is Rashida Tyler. Rashida, can you hear us?
Hi. Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
We can. You're all set.
Awesome. So I'm speaking tonight in support of the resolution to transfer the properties at Golden Hill to a development corporation that can actually help to create affordable housing. We are past the point of there being a housing crisis in Ulster County. We are in a housing emergency. Actually, about half an hour before this phone call, I spoke with a gentleman who was working two very good jobs through an ordinary economic times, should be able to support a family. Yet he's sleeping in a van. His family is homeless. They're looking for a 2-bedroom apartment and they can't find one. The day before that, I spoke with a couple who had to break up in order for the family, his wife and children, to be able to have a roof over their head. I am witnessing the toll that the housing emergency is taking on our county. And when I hear arguments and hesitation of, well, that we have too much affordable housing, these are positions that are given from a position of privilege, a position of home ownership, a position of people who don't have to worry about where they're going to lay their heads down at night. In Ulster County, we have over 1,600 people who have experienced or are at risk of homelessness between October 2018 and September 2019. 31% or 21,319 residents are renters. And we had needed from 2009 to be building about over 6,000 affordable housing units to be created by 2020. We have built less than half of that. And we cannot, and we have not addressed the affordability gap. So I'm asking the legislature tonight to support and vote in support of this resolution so that we can begin to support those who are in our community and have helped make it the community that it is. Keep Kingston affordable. And these properties are abandoned. They're underutilized. Please do the right thing and vote yes. Thank you.
The last speaker we have signed up is Susan Reese. Susan, can you hear us?
Can hear you. Good evening. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Very good. Thank you for giving me this opportunity tonight to share with you again that I strongly oppose the jail development into low-income housing. I think that Kingston is oversaturated with all these low-income housings. We certainly have enough of them. I think that it would be more beneficial if you did something else with that property, knowing that it borders my property. And yes, I feel sorry for all these people that are homeless and need affordable housing, but maybe they could reach out to a different community, a different area other than Kingston, because Kingston is highly saturated with low-income housing. And I'm sorry that they come here and they bus them here from other areas to Kingston. It just doesn't seem fair to our community that we should try to have to absorb that by making everybody that works so hard for their homes and their house and where they live, that they should have to compensate and have their taxes go down and be lowered because of all these people that are coming into the area. I just strongly oppose it, and I think it's being used as another thing that's going to happen, a little cover up of the whole jail thing that happened when they built the other jail. I think that we should take some time and we should think about what we need to do with that property other than low income housing. The property is a beautiful piece of land that could be beneficial and have a nice value to it with something else there other than low income housing. It seems like low income housing is getting spread throughout Kingston so thick that it's diminishing our community. Thank you for listening. I would be open to come to a meeting and discuss it if it wasn't for coronavirus.
Is that the end of the speakers?
Yep, that's all of them.
Alrighty, let's get into the resolutions. We'll start with the consent agenda. Is there any additions or subtractions to the consent agenda?
Yes, Chairman Donaldson. I would like to move that we move resolutions 267, 272, 276, 286, 293, 296, and 297 from non-consent to consent, and move resolution 278 from consent to non-consent.
The Republican caucus consents to those additions and subtractions, Chairman.
Alrighty, thank you. I'll entertain the vote for those, the new consent agenda.
Actually, excuse me, Chairman Donaldson, I might have skipped, I believe I skipped. I'll also move to add resolution 272 from non-consent to consent. I believe I skipped that.
Alrighty. You concur with that, Legislator Ronk?
I do, yes.
Okay, on the consent agenda as amended?
We are a short yes with one abstention. Resolution 274, Legislator Guevara, for the purpose of employment.
And we are a short yes.
The resolutions are adopted 23-0 with the exception of resolution 274, which is adopted 22-0 with one abstention, Legislator Guevara.
Very good. Now to begin the non-consent agenda.
The first resolution in non-consent is 191, establishing a policy for funding non-county organizations, Ulster County Legislature.
On the resolution, Legislator Ronk.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to make a motion to amend this resolution with the copy that's been provided to every legislator after Ways and Means. There were several changes that were made, both in today's Ways and Means Committee meeting as well as in previous Ways and Means Committee meetings. Everyone has a copy of the red line version that was emailed around.
I'll second it.
All right, on the amendments to the resolution.
On the amendments, I believe I can say we're a short yes.
I am a yes on that, but I'm concerned with the resolution being rushed. That's okay. I'll
We're a
still
short
be a
yes on
yes.
the amendments.
The amendments are adopted 23-0.
On the resolution?
On the resolution, again, I wasn't able to get in touch with absolutely everybody in between Ways and Means and session, but I believe I can say we're a short yes unless anyone is a no. Please interrupt me.
I'll be a no on it.
Okay, so we are a short yes with one no, Legislator Donaldson, and I believe Legislator Criswell has his hand raised, Chairman.
Legislator Criswell?
I'm going to be a yes. I just want to say that I'm hoping in the future we can include broader language on legal structures such as blended structures that are social good corporations, social benefit corporations, such as L3Cs, B Corps, flexible benefit corporations. None of that language was included in this, and I'm going to be a yes, but I just hope that moving forward we can understand that corporate structure has changed and that we should consider that when we're making these types of resolutions.
Legislator Ronk?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to thank legislators Walter, Bartels, Gaveris, and everybody on Ways and Means. I just wanted to mention those three because I know that they had brought up a lot of concerns to the to the committee. We've been asking for them for several months. This has been going on for several months. I also want to thank Legislator Petit, my co-sponsor on the resolution. I think that this addresses a really deep concern with how we've been funding not-for-profits and other organizations through our budget. And, as Legislator Criswell said, I definitely am open to changes moving forward. I definitely think this is a good first step. And I just wanted to say thank you for all the collaboration and working together.
I might add, Legislator Criswell, if you could, send a slight copy that you think the changes should be made, send that to the Ways and Means Committee, and I think they'll make those changes if, okay?
I'd be happy to do that. Thank you.
All right, did you vote on this, Legislator Ronk?
I wasn't sure if anybody else wanted to speak. We the Republican caucus is short yes.
I'll change my vote to a yes then, Legislator Epner, even though I feel it should have been put off for the month.
On the resolution, then the Democratic caucus is a short yes.
The resolution is adopted as amended 23-0. Resolution 243, urging New York State Legislature to increase recycling and reduce municipal waste management costs by expanding the New York State Returnable Container Act.
On the resolution?
We are a short yes.
I didn't know if anybody wanted to speak or not. I didn't see anybody with their hands up. Okay.
We're a short yes with 2 no's, legislators Ronk and Roberts.
The resolution is adopted 21-2. Resolution 278, amending resolution number 286 of 1968, adopted February 13th, 1969, imposing taxes on sales and uses of tangible personal property and of certain services, on occupancy of hotel rooms, and on amusement charges pursuant to Article 29 of the tax law of the state of New York, as amended on various occasions to increase the rate of sales and compensating use tax.
Legislator Walters?
She didn't have her hand up on this one.
This is different.
That's a different resolution.
Okay.
Great job, Vicky, by the way. It's a long time.
Legislator Ron?
No, I just wanted to commend the clerk on the reading of the title. That was a tongue twister. It was quite long, so I'm ready to vote.
On the resolution, we're a short yes.
On the resolution, we're a short yes with 2 no's, legislators Bruno and Fabiano.
The resolution is adopted 21-2. Resolution 279, another long one, authorizing the issuance pursuant to Section 90 and/or Section 90.1 of the local finance law of refunding bonds of the County of Ulster, New York, to be designated substantially public improvement refunding serial bonds, and providing for other matters in relation thereto, and the payment of bonds to be refunded thereby Department of Finance. This one is a long roll. Archer.
Yes.
Bartels.
Yes.
Bruno.
Yes.
Cahill.
Yes.
Corcoran.
Yes.
Criswell.
Yes.
DeLon.
Yes.
Donaldson.
Yes.
Fabiano.
Yes.
Gaveris.
Yes.
Green.
Yes.
Haynes.
Yes.
Hepner.
Yes.
Litz.
Yes.
Lopez.
Yes.
Mayo.
Yes.
Harity,
Yes.
Petit,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Ronk,
Yes.
Uchatel,
Yes.
Walter,
Yes.
and Worrell.
Say the world. Did she vote?
Sorry. Yes.
The resolution is adopted 23-0. Resolution 285, adopting proposed local law number 7 of 2020, a local law amending the code of the County of Ulster in relation to local law number 5 of 1991 to clarify the tax law's application to short-term and vacation rentals.
Legislator Walters.
Thank
Walter,
you.
rather, I already.
No problem. So for many years, this legislature has tried to pass this law in one form or another. And while I'm new, I learned pretty quickly that the assumptions and misinformation and misdirected emotion that has fueled the opposition to this law. And interestingly, these don't align with each other except for unification against the law. So I've heard that the law is illegal. This is an opinion of some legal counsel and not the opinion of the legislative council or the county council and the legislative and county council of over 20 counties in New York that have had this contract. Lawyers are risk adverse. Our county attorney would not be currently engaging in this very contractual negotiation if they felt that it would attract a lawsuit from the state. I've also heard argument that the legislator, if we had this law, the executive cannot successfully negotiate a contract. This is fueled by unfounded assumptions. This presents a scenario of Airbnb or another platform forcing the county into a bad contract. If we continued this scenario, we would have to assume that the preposterous idea that if an agreement was rejected by us, that Airbnb would somehow sue us with claims that we had to accept anything they gave us. We are lawmakers, we make and adapt laws. I've also heard that town supervisors are against this. And this is misinformation on two levels. First, not all supervisors are against this. And second, those who are only against it for the reasons stated above. They were told by the executive that this resolution would only hurt his ability to negotiate. We've heard that hotels and motels are against this. This is fueled by emotion, as Airbnb has been damaging to these companies as businesses. This is also fueled by anecdotes of counties with poor contracts that they're bound to. This assumes our county would accept these conditions when we would not. You may have heard that this law proposes new taxes and is thus harmful to our existing B's, inns and hotels, and this is fueled by misinformation. This law is adapting the existing occupancy tax law. Our small B&Bs, inns, hotels, and motels must already charge this tax. Their occupants or short-term rentals must already pay this, and these businesses must remit this revenue to the county. These businesses have been paying this occupancy tax since at least 1991 when this local law was created. For stays obtained through platforms such as Airbnb, hosts have not been charging this tax. Occupants have not been paying, and these hosts have only been sparsely remitting this revenue to the county. So this is not a new tax. This is a process to secure the revenue that we are owed by occupants who rent through short-term platforms like Airbnb. And the resolution clearly states this. This is to level the playing fields for our hotels, motels, inns, and B&Bs who must pay this tax. And importantly, our failure to pass this over so many years has resulted in millions of dollars of lost revenue. Revenue we need now more than ever, revenue that could save programs and that are cut and jobs that are going to be lost. That said, the executive is moving forward with this contract, and I really applaud that office for seeing the light and really seeing the importance of this. But given that so much misinformation has fed and it has overridden the job that we have as legislators to do the right thing, I'm going to be withdrawing this. Thank you.
You're muted, Dave.
About that. She is withdrawing the resolution, right? So, Senator Ron, you want to speak on the withdrawn resolution?
Yeah, I just feel like I need to say something because
Point of order, Chairman Donaldson, wasn't the resolution withdrawn?
Yes, it was.
Then I'd like to, a further point of order, Majority Leader Hepner. It's not been the past practice of this body to allow a legislator to go on a multi-minute long diatribe about misinformation and, pretty much appropriating what is the right thing to do and what is not, and not allowing the other side to be heard. So if that's what the chairman would like to do, I'm not going to bother trying to override his ruling, but I felt like the other side of the issue might be entitled to a few seconds, since the sponsor, went on a very long debate on the resolution and then withdrew it.
Well, she withdrew it because my understanding is the executive is in the process of bringing forth an agreement. I'll give you some leeway, Legislator Ronk.
I just, a lot of what Legislator Walter just said, I believe, is an opinion and not necessarily a fact. Calling things misinformation just because it's information that you don't agree with isn't necessarily misinformation. Just because it's what you believe is the right thing to do doesn't mean that something is the right thing to do. That's just not the way this works. I mean, in this age of, social media, in this age of instant gratification, in the age that we live in today, everybody's opinion is automatically deemed by them to be fact, when unfortunately it is not. There are many town supervisors that are against this law. There are many, brick and mortar businesses, resorts and hotels that are against this law. They're not just against this law because Airbnb is hurting them, because Airbnb is not going anywhere. They're looking for a level playing field. They're looking for the ability to have the same kind of inspections, the same kind of health and safety requirements. And I've never said, and nor I don't believe has anybody else, that all of the town supervisors are against it. But the Town Supervisors Association, a quorum being present, did vote to oppose this, and the vice chair of the Supervisors Association came tonight to speak to us.
All right. Well, I gave you leeway. Can we move on at this point?
Mr. Chairman,
I'd like to say something, Mr. Chairman.
I have a question, please,
Wait a minute.
about this. Legislator Donaldson, Chairman
Let
Donaldson.
me say something. The resolution has been withdrawn. Legislator Walter.
I can't ask a question?
Not at this point, no. Right
Well,
now,
thank you very much, Mr.
the
Chairman.
legislation has been withdrawn.
I'm appalled at the accusations that we're all stupid and misinformed. And you wonder why we've been misinformed. And there's a history to this whole thing. I heard the number 1991. That's when this law was passed. You know what was implemented? What, 10 years ago, 15 years ago? And you want to know what? This legislature, when they implemented it, didn't have a public hearing. So I'm appalled. I don't know where anybody gets the nerve to say things like that.
Well, at this point right now, the legislation has been withdrawn.
I got you.
Right. Chairman Donaldson.
I gave some leeway. Now let's move on to the next legislation.
You just let Legislator Parity ramble on for 20 seconds. I only got one question.
Go ahead. I'll tell you what.
Yeah,
Dean,
don't
if
tell
you
me
want to,
nothing.
if you
Forget
want to
about
do
it.
some rambling on, go ahead, ramble on.
No, forget about it. Thank you very much for letting me ask a simple goddamn question. Thank
What was
you.
the simple question?
My question is that if the county executive's office reaches an agreement with Airbnb, will that have to come back to the legislature to be
yes.
approved? Excuse me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. That's all I wanted to know.
No problem. Oh, well, let's move on.
That was the last resolution. That was the last.
Resolution was withdrawn. Let's go to the next.
That's it.
That was the last resolution, Mr. Chairman.
That's the last one. We're all finished.
Oh, that's
Great.
it? All right, so Legislator Eve Walter, would you read those that we are adjourning in memory of?
Yes, very fitting. I apologize in advance if I mispronounce anybody's name. Where the meeting's adjourned in memory of Christopher A. Cahill Sr. from Port Charlotte, Florida, Dorothy Gruner from Highland, New York, Sergeant Alan D. Johnson from Ulster Park, New York, Esther Rose Boughton from Woodstock, New York, Martha M. McMullen from Marlborough, New York, Honorable Paul M. Brazier from Saugerties, New York, Russell L. Limester from Boynton Beach, Florida, Richard I. Woolman Jr. from New Paltz, New York, Frank J. Oranger Jr. from Port Ewan, New York, Sally M. Rhodes from New Paltz, New York, Carolyn L. Roberti from Saugerties, New York, Nicholas Harris from Kingston, New York, KJ McIntyre from Kingston, New York, Eileen Hoffman from Hurley, New York, Dr. Joseph N. Rienzi from Boca Raton, Florida, Royana Black Hubble from Esopus, New York, Alan D. Johnson from Ulster Park, New York, Muriel J. Whitaker from Kingston, New York, Joan A. Langton from Lake Katrina, New York, William P. Goff from West Camp, New York, Gilbert W. Hales from Saugerties, New York, Suzanne Frederick from Saugerties, New York, retired K-9 Triton from Ulster County Sheriff's Office, and I would like to add Shelby Harris from Accord, New York, who passed away on July 28th from an opioid overdose at the age of 22. Thank you.
And I'd like to just say something very quickly. Chris Cahill, I hate to say this, Brian, but he was my favorite Cahill. I've known him, I knew him all my life. He was a very close friend of mine. And I'm going to miss stopping in Port Charlotte to play golf with him. Whenever I was down there for any length of time, that's what I did. I'd always call him up and we'd get together and spend many hours together. And he had a certain karma about him. Out of the over 50 years that I've known him, I've never seen him angry, which is an amazing thing. And he's going to be greatly missed. Thank you.
Uh-oh.
Does anyone else to add?
I would like to add,
Go ahead, legislator Worrell.
I'd like to add the name of Joseph Pills from Saugerties.
And I'd like to add Don Every. And I believe I thought I saw something. Oh, Al, did you have your hand up? Legislator Bruno?
Yeah, I'd just like to say a couple words for Sergeant Alan Johnson. He was a great friend. He was a defender. He was a vet. He served in the Cold War, and he honored every vet, EMS, and fireman and police officer who passed. He stood flag lines with us with the Patriot Guard Riders for many years. Even though he wasn't a biker himself, he drove his truck as a support vehicle and supported both the Warrior Watch Riders and the Patriot Guard Riders to his dying day. And he will be greatly missed by not only his wife and children, but me, the Patriot Guard Riders, and a grateful nation. Rest in peace, Alan.
Legislator Ronk?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to reflect on the passing of our former K-9 Triton and just mention his former handler, Deputy James Mullen, who kept him upon his retirement. Again, his name is going to be added to the deceased K-9's memorial at the Law Enforcement Center. I'm going to ask the sheriff to be apprised of that date because I plan to be there. I hope many of you will as well. The sacrifices that these deputies that handle the canines and the canines themselves make for all of us in Ulster County to keep us safe, to detect unwanted substances, and to protect life and property, I feel like is too often not focused on as much. So they're officers just like our two-legged officers, and I got to meet Triton one time. I'm gonna miss him.
Anyone else? All right, the next regular meeting of the Ulster County Legislature will be held Tuesday, September 15th, 2020 at 7 p.m. Further meeting details will be following. Resolution deadline is Friday, August 21st at noon time. I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So
Could
moved.
we hear from, I'm sorry, can we hear from Legislator Archer? She was trying to get your attention, Chairman Donaldson.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see her.
That's okay. I just didn't want us to close without remembering Ann Nano Beanstalk, who just passed away, a local environmentalist and a historian, and very much contributed to the area and the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Legislator Archer. All right, now I would entertain the motion to adjourn.
So moved.
By Litz, seconded by
Second.
Bruno.
Second
All
it.
those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All righty, tomorrow have yourself an ordinary day.
Take care. Be safe and healthy, everybody.
Bye.